What started as a star-studded charity event quickly became the setting for one of the most jaw-dropping moments in sports entertainment, when a cocky MMA fighter mocked action legend Jason Statham and paid the price in front of a live audience. Trust us, you'll want to stick around for this one. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this story a like, and drop a comment letting us know who you think would win in a celebrity versus fighter showdown. We love hearing from you. Every year, London's O2 Arena plays host to some of the most high-profile charity events in the world. But this one had a little extra heat. It was called Champions for Change, an event that brought together top-tier MMA fighters, Hollywood celebrities, and martial arts legends to raise funds for children's hospitals across the UK. The red carpet was packed with familiar faces, athletes, actors, influencers. But when Jason Statham stepped out onto the arena floor, the atmosphere shifted. Dressed in his signature black tee and jeans, Statham looked every bit the action hero fans had come to love in films like The Transporter, Crank, and The Expendables. But here, he wasn't playing a character. He was just Jason, British-born, no-nonsense, and fiercely respected in real-life martial arts circles. He wasn't there to fight. He was there to support. At least, that was the plan. Across the arena, another name was buzzing. Carter, the Cobra Maddox, a rising star in the MMA world known as much for his flashy knockouts as for his mouth. Young, muscular, and always camera-ready, Carter was the kind of fighter who loved attention and hated being upstaged. When he heard Statham was attending, and even doing a brief martial arts demo for the crowd, he saw it as an opportunity. "What's Hollywood doing in my house?" Carter joked to a nearby reporter, loud enough for the surrounding crew to catch it. "Let's see if he can back up all that movie magic." The jab was meant to be lighthearted, but the tone? Not so friendly. The tension slowly built as the event carried on. Jason performed a crisp, clean demonstration with a local martial arts coach, showcasing defensive techniques and footwork. The crowd cheered politely, until Carter showed up near the mat with a smirk on his face. "Nice moves," he called out. "But what happens when someone actually hits back?" The audience laughed nervously. Camera swiveled. Even the announcers paused. Jason turned, gave a polite smile, and replied calmly, "It's a charity event, mate. No need to turn it into a spectacle." But the seed was planted, and soon, that offhand comment would spiral into one of the most memorable moments in celebrity versus fighter history. What happens next? Let's just say Carter picked the wrong action star to mess with. Every crowd loves a bit of drama, but no one expected the rising MMA star Carter Maddox to take a charity event and turn it into a personal battleground. And certainly not against Jason Statham. ***. If you're enjoying this so far, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and comment below. Would you have stepped into the ring with Jason Statham? The tension was now thick enough to cut with a knife. Jason Statham had gracefully brushed off the jab from Carter Maddox during his martial arts demo, but the cocky fighter wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Carter, draped in a custom track suit and flanked by his crew, made his way toward the center of the arena as if he owned the place. Cameras snapped. Phones came out. Everyone could feel it. Something was about to go down. "Let's give the people what they came to see," Carter shouted with a grin, grabbing a mic from the side of the stage. "One round. Me and the movie star." Gasps echoed. Was he serious? Jason, who had returned to his seat with the event organizers, looked up and offered a faint smirk, the type of smile that said, "I've seen 100 guys like you before." "This isn't a cage fight, mate," he called back. "It's a fundraiser. Let's keep it respectful." But Carter had already turned it into a spectacle. The crowd was energized, egging it on. Social media feeds were buzzing. Clips of Carter's taunt were already being posted with hashtags like #StathamChallenge and Carter vs. Statham ****. That's when the event host stepped in, trying to salvage the situation, but also recognizing a golden opportunity. "How about a friendly spar?" he suggested, his voice booming through the speakers. "Protective gear, light contact, all in good fun. And for the kids," cheers erupted from the audience. Statham stood slowly, stretched his arms, and casually made his way toward the ring. "All right then," he said, shrugging. One round. The arena shook. This wasn't going to be a grudge match. But still, the stakes had changed. It was no longer just about charity. It was about respect. Who is Carter Maddox? Let's take a moment to understand who Jason was up against. Carter the Cobra, Maddox had a legit background. A black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, undefeated in his last 6 MMA fights, and one of the fastest strikers in his division. But what made him controversial wasn't his ability. It was his arrogance. In press conferences, he taunted opponents. On social media, he called out fighters twice his size. And now, he had set his sights on an A-list actor. One who just happened to have over 2 decades of real martial arts training under his belt. The difference? Jason didn't need to talk about it. He just showed up. As Jason and Carter suited up in protective pads and gloves, the room fell into a quiet buzz. Celebrities leaned in. Fighters whispered. Everyone wondered the same thing. Was Jason Statham really about to hold his own against a pro? Little did they know, he wasn't just going to hold his own. He was about to steal the show. The lights dimmed just enough to focus attention on the ring. One man was a professional fighter in his prime. The other, a movie star who looked far too calm for what was coming. The crowd didn't know it yet, but they were seconds away from witnessing something unforgettable. Backhand index pointing right, enjoying the story? Hit that subscribe, smash the like, and drop a comment. Who's your bet on? Hollywood's toughest or MMA's loudest? The energy inside London's O2 Arena had shifted. What started as a charity exhibition had suddenly turned into the most talked-about face-off of the year. Social media was blowing up. Live streams were surging, and fans around the world were scrambling to see the action unfold. Inside the ring, Carter Maddox bounced on his heels, warming up, hyping himself. He threw a few exaggerated jabs at the air, and cracked his neck like a man about to dominate. Jason Statham? He was different. No bouncing, no theatrics, just stillness. Wearing light sparring gloves and a simple black compression shirt, he adjusted his stance and locked eyes with his challenger. His body language was calm, but every inch of him was coiled with quiet focus. "Don't blink," whispered one of the organizers standing ringside. The unofficial bell was sounded. Round 1. Let the spar begin. Carter came in fast, faster than anyone expected. With a background in striking, his natural instinct was to overwhelm. He threw a high jab, followed by a sharp leg kick that would have rocked anyone not paying attention. But Jason was paying attention. He didn't flinch. He didn't even step back. He pivoted, slipping the jab with surgical precision and angling out before Carter could follow up. The crowd gasped. Jason's movement was clean. Too clean for an actor. And that's when the narrative began to change in real time. "Yo, did he just parry that like a pro?" Someone in the front row muttered, staring at their phone screen. Carter, slightly thrown off by Jason's calm response, tried again. This time with a flurry. Left hook. Feint. Body shot. Jason blocked the first 2, sidestepped the third, and then countered ***. Not with force. With finesse. A simple shoulder check to unbalance Carter. A low sweep that brushed his opponent's lead leg. Not enough to knock him down, but enough to show dominance. It was subtle, controlled, like someone who knew exactly where this was going. Jason Statham's secret weapon. What many in the crowd didn't know, what Carter had clearly underestimated, was that Jason wasn't just Hollywood tough. He was the real deal. Jason had trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, Wing Chun, and kickboxing for over 20 years. Not for show, not just for film, but because martial arts were part of his life. He'd sparred with UFC champions. He'd trained under legitimate black belts. And it showed. Carter launched another aggressive combo. And that's when it happened. Jason ducked under the final punch, stepped in, and with a smooth inside trip took Carter off his feet. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't brutal. But it was flawless. Carter hit the mat. The crowd exploded. For a moment, time stood still. Jason backed away, offering his hand. Carter looked up, more surprised than hurt. He took it, standing slowly, realization dawning across his face. He hadn't just underestimated an actor. He'd underestimated a warrior. Asterisk, he came in cocky. He left with a lesson. Carter Maddox, the rising MMA star who taunted Jason Statham in front of a live crowd, had just been outclassed on his own turf. But what happened after the takedown? That's what truly shocked everyone. Asterisk, asterisk. High Voltage, liking the story? Don't forget to smash that like, subscribe for more, and drop a comment. Was Carter humbled, or did he learn something deeper? The crowd was still roaring from the clean takedown Jason Statham had executed. In less than a minute, the movie star turned martial artist had flipped the entire energy in the arena. From amusement to respect to awe. Carter Maddox slowly stood up, brushing off the light padding on his arms. His usual smirk was gone. His posture changed. He looked at Jason, not with anger, but with something far more unexpected. Respect. For a second, no one knew what would happen. Would Carter lash out? Would he laugh it off? His ego had just taken a hit, and everyone knew how fragile egos could be under the spotlight. Instead, he walked over to Jason, extended his hand properly this time, and gave him a firm handshake. "All right, man," Carter said, nodding. "You're not just an actor." Jason chuckled and clapped him on the back. "Didn't think I was." The audience went wild again, but now, it wasn't just for the action. It was for the sportsmanship. A moment that could have spiraled into embarrassment had turned into something far more powerful. A lesson in humility, delivered with class. Behind the calm, Jason's real discipline. While Carter had raw power and youth on his side, Jason Statham brought something you can't fake. Discipline, control, and years of focused training. It was never about aggression for Jason. It was about being composed under pressure. He didn't spar to humiliate. He didn't counter to prove a point. He let Carter come at him, and he responded with the kind of precision only a seasoned martial artist could. That takedown? It wasn't just technique. It was timing, awareness, and respect for the art itself. Carter's turning point. Backstage, Carter was approached by a few reporters who expected him to be bitter. Instead, he surprised them. "Look, I came here thinking I'd put on a show. Turns out I was the one getting schooled. And honestly, I needed it," he admitted. "Jason's the real deal. I'll never look at an action star the same way again." The comment went viral. Twitter lit up. Instagram reels of the takedown were everywhere, with titles like "Jason Statham stuns MMA star with surgical precision" and asterisk, "This is why you don't mock a martial artist." Asterisk. But more than the clip, it was Carter's attitude that impressed fans. People love a fight, but they remember the growth that comes after. In one short sparring session, Jason had done what few could: silence the cocky, inspire respect, and bring a packed arena to its feet. Not with violence, but with mastery. You could hear a pin drop, just for a moment. Then the arena erupted. Not because of a knockout, not because of a flashy move, but because of something far rarer in the world of combat sports: mutual respect. And the way Jason Statham earned it? Unforgettable. Asterisk, asterisk. Fire loving the ride? Don't forget to subscribe, tap that like, and drop a comment. Were you as surprised by the crowd's reaction as Carter Maddox was? The aftershock. After the brief but powerful sparring session between Jason Statham and Carter Maddox, the arena was buzzing like never before. What had started as a sideshow exhibition became the main event. When Jason helped Carter to his feet and accepted the handshake, the crowd didn't just cheer. They stood. A full-blown standing ovation rippled through the venue, and within seconds, phones were up capturing the moment from every angle. Even the announcer, caught off guard by the sportsmanship and authenticity of the exchange, stepped up to the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is what real martial arts is all about. The audience roared again. The celebrity reaction. Backstage, the buzz was electric. Celebrities who had come for a light-hearted night of charity now huddled around screens, replaying the footage. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tweeted minutes later, "Never underestimate the calm ones. That was some real skill by Jason Statham. Respect." Oncoming fist hashtag real deal hashtag Statham power. Keanu Reeves, another actor known for serious martial arts discipline, reportedly texted Jason personally with 2 words. Flawless technique. From fighters to film stars, the consensus was the same. Jason wasn't acting. Fans speak up. In the hours that followed, fans flooded social media with reactions. Jason just humbled a pro MMA fighter without throwing a punch in anger. Carter got a free masterclass and took it like a champ. That takedown was smoother than anything in the transporter. Clips of the takedown passed 1 million views on TikTok within 3 hours. YouTube breakdowns of the fight popped up from popular martial arts channels, praising Jason's footwork, composure, and textbook trip. Even sports analysts began weighing in. People forget Statham competed as a diver on the British national team before Hollywood. His balance, timing, and athletic IQ are elite. What he did to Carter, that wasn't lucky. That was years of refined skill. MMA analyst John Hartman. Jason's response. Later, when approached by reporters, Jason kept it humble. "It's all love. Carter's a beast in that cage. He came in fired up, and I respect that. But this wasn't about showing anyone up. It was about showing what martial arts truly teaches: discipline, control, and respect." He paused, smiled, and added, "Besides, I've taken my share of hits too. You live, you learn. Class act, through and through." Carter reflects. Carter Maddox posted an Instagram story that evening with a simple message. "Today I learned something from a man I thought I'd run over. Respect, Jason. Next round's on me." Collision martial arts uniform. And just like that, fans began to see Carter in a new light. Not just as a trash-talking fighter, but as someone who could grow from a loss of ego. It started as a cocky call-out. It ended with a lesson in humility, mastery, and respect. But the ripple effect of Jason Statham's calm confidence didn't end in the ring. It grew into something far more enduring. Clapperboard, if you've been enjoying this story, go ahead and subscribe, like, and comment. What's the biggest takeaway from this unexpected showdown? A moment that outlasted the match. In the days following the spar, the clip of Jason Statham countering and flooring Carter Maddox reached over 30 million views. But it wasn't just the technique or surprise that made it go viral. It was the deeper meaning behind it. People weren't just watching a fight. They were witnessing character. In a world where headlines often celebrate trash talk, aggression, and controversy, this was different. This was a reminder that real strength doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove itself through violence. It moves with quiet power. Martial arts schools report a spike. Interestingly, martial arts academies around the UK and US reported a spike in sign-ups that week. Parents cited Jason's humility as the reason they were enrolling their kids. Adults shared that the clip reignited their interest in disciplines like jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, and Wing Chun. "I've always liked Statham in movies," one fan posted, "but watching him handle a real fighter with such calm, that made me want to finally take that first class." It was proof that this wasn't just entertainment. It was inspiration. Carter Maddox, a new chapter. As for Carter, he leaned into the moment with unexpected maturity. In a podcast appearance weeks later, he said, "Look, I came in hot, no lie. I thought I was making good content. Instead, I got schooled by a guy who's been walking the martial path longer than I've been fighting, and I'm grateful for it." He even began working with one of Jason's trainers for off-season conditioning. What could have been a PR nightmare turned into a career reset, one that made Carter more respected than ever before. The MMA community applauded him for owning the loss and evolving from it. Jason's quiet legacy. Jason Statham didn't gloat. He didn't post about it. He returned to filming his next project and went right back to his usual routine of intense training and private discipline. But among fighters, martial artists, and fans, the respect for him soared. Not because he dominated Carter, but because he proved something timeless. Brain skill beats strength. Person in lotus position, composure beats ego. Folded hands, respect always wins. The final word. In a world full of loud fighters and louder headlines, Jason Statham walked into the ring, said almost nothing, and let the martial arts do the talking. It wasn't a title match. It wasn't a blockbuster scene. But in that one sparring session, he reminded everyone, from pros to fans to kids just starting their first karate class, that being tough isn't about fists, it's about mindset. And that's why this moment didn't just stun the arena. It echoed through the world.